it is for your own candidate who you're supporting, or candidate of the other side. So we would like to urge you to allow for civility in this hall tonight, so that we can hear clearly what all the candidates have to offer. All right, now to the big high point of tonight. It's time for me to begin to introduce the candidates, bring them on the podium one after the other. I'll begin by calling on the candidate of the African Action Congress, AAC, Omoyele, Sowore. And just a reminder, it is only at this point that you are allowed to clap. When they come on the podium, there will be no more clapping, no cheering, and no jeering. We have to emphasize that. I'm still waiting for the candidate of the African Action Congress. Yes, thank you. Next is the candidate, that's the presidential candidate of the Action Democratic Party, Engineer Yabagi Yusuf Sani, that's of the ADP. Thank you very much. And as he takes the podium, right on the heels of Engineer Yabagi, of course, is the presidential candidate of the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party, ANRP, in the person of Sowore Fasua. It is my pleasure to invite to the podium the presidential candidate of the Alliance for New Nigeria, ANN. Thank you very much. Next is the presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, Donald Duke. Please put your hands together with the candidate of the SDP. And last but not the least is the presidential candidate of Young Progressives Party, YPP, Kingsley Morgan. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, it's good to see you tonight. And I'm sure you're ready to take on all the questions burning in the minds and the hearts of Nigerians scattered all over the world, of course, right here in the hall and within the country. But before we get on with it tonight, it's time to pay honor to our great nation. I'll urge everyone to rise as we take the national anthem. Thank you very much.
All right. That's what it is.
Be sure, gentlemen, if you can look at your microphone there should be blue light. Can you confirm that you can see that? That indicates that we can hear you when you begin to speak, of course. All right, first off, Nigerians would like to know you, for those who don't already, and I would like to, do this in alphabetical order. But let me take the other way around. Since I called Mr. Sowore first, let me start from my extreme left with the candidate of the Young Progressive Party, Professor Kingsley Moghalu. You have 2 minutes to tell us exactly what your party manifesto is, and really, why should Nigerians trust you to lead them in the next 4 years by casting their vote for you?
Thank you. For 60 years, we've been an independent country. But too many of our people, too many Nigerians, still don't have the basic things of life. They don't have electricity, they don't have good healthcare, they don't have good schools, they don't have good infrastructure. The time has come to ask, as we vote in 2019, are we the children of lesser votes? Malaysia, China, Singapore, Japan, these countries were all once backward. But today, they're what we look up to. The difference lies in leadership. In 2015, it was anything but Jonathan. Let 2019 not be anything but Buhari. 2019 should be about a fundamental shift away from the recycled, old, incompetent, and visionless political class that has held us down for far too long. It is time for us to elect a competent leader. That means a leader who has a vision, who has capacity, character, and has had experience and knowledge of nation building, by which I mean using the authority of the states to create a national identity, working through the institutions of statecraft. It is time to have a leader who understands how to manage the economy. The YPP proposes to Nigerians a fundamental social contract such as has never been in place in this country before. That social contract will create the trust between the people and the government that has been broken for the last 60 years. Without it, we cannot move. We constitutionally restructure the Federal Republic of Nigeria so that we can move forward on our rights. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. The candidate of the Young Progressives Party, YPP there, Professor Kingsley Moghalu. Now to the candidate of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, Mr. Donald Duke. Are you the man with the experience and the expertise that is required to lead Nigeria? Can you tell us in 2 minutes?
Let me take it off from where Kingsley started. We're talking about one who has experience, who has actually done something, who has the experience of governing and knowing how Nigeria works. I feel I have a fair advantage on this podium, having led the state for 8 years, and I'll say successfully. We can all articulate our problems. We know the challenges of Nigeria. At the time of independence, our population was 45 million. Today, it's 200 million. In 30 years, it's 400 million. We'll be the third most populous nation on earth. If we don't change the trajectory of this nation, there's a disaster looming. If at 200 million, this is our fate, this is our lot. Kidnapping, insecurity, you name it. At 400 million, I shudder to think where we would be. We have regressed over the last 40 years, and I want to use statistics here. In 1980, between 79 and 83, President Sowore budgeted 25 billion annually. Our population was about 75 million people at the time. Today, our population is 200 million, and we're budgeting 23.8 billion. So we're a nation in regress. The government tells you we're no longer in recession. That's a fallacy. As long as your population growth exceeds your economic growth, you are in recession. Our population growth is about 3.2%, and our economic growth is about 1.5 thereabout. Our nation is imperiled by this, and it's not just the vision and the strategy, but the extraordinary will to make it happen. We have two challenging problems: poverty and impunity. Impunity in the sense that we don't respect the laws of our nation, but poverty is the kernel that...
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Donald Duke. Next, of course, is the candidate of the Alliance for New Nigeria, ANN. No, actually it's not. It's the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party candidate in the person of Dr. Fashua. Please, I would like to crave your indulgence if you can pull off the first card. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, we appreciate that. Thank you very much. So you have 2 minutes to tell us whether you really are the man for the job. Do you have what it takes to steer the ship of this country to where the generality of Nigerians are hoping that it should go? Can you tell us that in 2 minutes?
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Fashua. I'm running for president on the platform of the ANRP, which we know as a computer party. The logo for the party is actually a computer, like a laptop. The name Abundant Nigeria speaks for itself because we realized very early on in the day that Nigeria is a country of abundance, of natural resources, but especially human resources. However, we also suffer the paradox of poverty because we also happen to be the biggest country with the largest number of poor people in the world, the largest level of inequality in the world, largest number of mother and child mortality, and the largest number of children out of school. And therefore, this is what we are here to reverse. I'm an economist, and I realized that Nigeria suffered from a scarcity of economists in recent times. And of course, very good economists as well, who can think through processes and who can look at different variables that affect the reason why we are here today and proffer solutions to take us forward. I believe Nigerians should vote for me because I'm a practical person. I've actually been on the streets demonstrating about the budget level that Mr. Duke spoke about, but I probably want to put a bit of correction there. I did the research. As at 1983, Nigeria's budget was actually $20.5 billion. Then the budget was read on the 31st December 1983. On the 30th of December, but on the next day, 31st December, the military struck and Buhari came in as the Major General then. And of course, we reduced the budget to $15 billion. Of course, it's a paradox and it's a tragedy that we're where we are today. We have a lot of great ideas in the NRP, and we're urging everybody watching me right now, everybody you see the computer, on voting day, kindly append your thumbprint on it, because we are the party of the future, and the future is now. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. The candidate of the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party there, Mr. Dr. Fashua. Next is the presidential candidate of the Alliance for New Nigeria, Mr. Sydenews. You are a motivational speaker, businessman, background in finance and all of that. Is that all it will take to steer Nigeria forward?
Well, let me start by saying good evening to every one of you, and thank you to my co-debaters. My name is Sydenews, and I am the presidential candidate for the Alliance for New Nigeria Party, ANN. That's the party with the logo of the lion in the 2019 general elections. I'm 47 years old, and like the moderator said, I'm a business management consultant, a leadership expert, and most importantly, a nation builder. Which means that I'm one person who has accepted responsibility, like many other people, especially even those on this stage, and those of you that are listening to me, have accepted responsibility for the well-being of our country, not just for our own personal well-being. But we believe that our generation can be able to liberate this nation, this blessed nation, from the clutches of those who have ruled us and held us back for so long, more than 50 years. But then we are also committing our time, our energy to do something to deliver the future of our nation. Let me be very clear. Nigeria is a blessed nation. We are blessed with all the resources that any nation can dream of. Mineral resources, natural resources, human resources. But we have not yet become a great nation. A great nation where things work for everyone. Where what is accessible to the rich is also available to the poor. Good quality transport, good quality education, food for all, housing for all, power for all. And I, under the leadership of the ANN and leading this great country, will ensure that we are able to deliver a nation that works for everyone. A nation where everyone has jobs and opportunities, where businesses can prosper and succeed because it is a safe environment. We will do these great things, and I will show you in the next few moments how we plan to go about this as the Alliance for New Nigeria Party. It is time for Nigeria to be released from the shackles of these rulers that has held us bound. God bless you.
Well, thank you very much. The candidate of the Alliance for New Nigeria, Fernando Rotimi. Next is the presidential candidate of the Action Democratic Party, Engineer Ibagi Yusuf Sani. Are you the one that will unshackle Nigeria?
Good evening, great Nigerians. I am running for this office because I believe the knowledge which I have is required. Because the only reason why we are where we are today, battling with poverty, killings, and hunger, is because we have given power to those who have no knowledge of how to use that power. And I am of a background, by way of experience, that tells me that I need to step forward because we have a gift of God in this country. Of all the sectors of the economy, there's one that stands out, who gives us 80% of the revenue that we utilize to grow this economy. And I have unique knowledge of how that sector works, and I know that if you have a company and you have someone who has knowledge of how 80% of the revenue is managed, I think you will not take another person than that person. I have worked in NPC in terms of advising them. I have worked advising the federal government at the highest level. I have schemes that are put in place which was to check the theft of crude oil and gas and the various activities happening at our terminals, so that going forward Nigeria will begin to know how much we are making from crude oil, how much we are producing, and how much we are crude for, so that Nigeria can be great. Because Nigeria that we know is a promise of greatness. We have human capital. The mere size of this country is an asset. The location of this country is an asset. Somebody like me, given the opportunity to run this country, believe you me, in 100 days of my government, Nigerians will not believe that this is the same country where we are battling with poverty, killings, and resilience. So that's why I'm coming forward to be given the opportunity to run the affairs of this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, candidate of the Action Democratic Party, Engineer Ibagi Yusuf Sani. Now to my extreme right, to the presidential candidate of African Action Congress, AAC, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. Well, you've been carrying on the campaign of take it back from who to what?
Thank you very much. And my name is Omoyele Sowore. I'm 48 years old on February 16, 2019, exactly the day of the presidential election. Yes, I hope Nigerians will give me that president. Don't buy everything, just vote for me. And let me tell you a little story about Nigeria. Between 1879 and 1900, a company known as the Royal Niger Company was hired by the British government to set up a colony known as Nigeria. They completed their work in 1940, uniting the southern protectorate with the northern protectorate. Nigeria was set up as a business supermarket for the British colonial masters, and in 1960 we were supposed to transform into a nation. We never had that opportunity because for 58 years now, some clueless, corrupt, and wicked political jackass in this country took over the country and started running as a business in which now Nigerians have become refugees in their land. Our young people cannot get employment. Our children are no longer safe in their school. Our farmers are not safe on their farms. Even our soldiers are not safe on their front lines. And today, we have a country in which people are sad, they are broken, and they are despondent. What I'm telling you is just a short story. But for us to transform this country from a business to a nation, you need a young, vibrant, intellectually sound, courageous young man. And I say young, not just average, but youthful, who can take on special interest in this country. I made it possible for you and I to have a country we can call our own. And if you're looking for someone, you should look for a fighter when you're at war. This country is at war with its rulers, not leaders.
Right,
And
thank you very much. Your time is up, please. The presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, the AAC, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. Now that you have all heard from the
informed. Know your options.
And so welcome back. This is the 2019 presidential debates. This could actually pass for the final before the very election that comes up February 16. Well, you have heard from all our 6 presidential candidates, and they have in 2 minutes been able to give you exactly what they stand for and what they think the problem with Nigeria is. And, well, very briefly, how they think they can solve it. But let's get to the very details of this. And I would like to begin with the issue of job creation. You would, of course, gentlemen, understand that employment is a key indicator of how any economy is doing. And Nigeria is no exception. Of course, some experts like yourselves have actually said that it has been economic growth in the last decade or so, but there has not been a requisite transformation of the economic structure, if you do get my point. So what are your plans for a sustainable economic growth? Do you have any plans? Give us that in 2 minutes. Let me begin with the candidate of the Young Progressive Party, Professor Kingsley Morgan.
The reason why our country has remained...
Please feel free to raise the mic if it's... so that we can...
The reason why our country has remained poor and our economy has always underperformed, despite the fact that we have so many brilliant economists in this country, is simple. Nigeria has no clearly defined economic philosophy. Without an economic philosophy, you cannot have a strong economic vision. Without an economic vision, you cannot have effective economic policy. Without economic policy, you cannot create the institutional and market frameworks to give people jobs. That is what has been lacking. My government, as the next president of Nigeria, will fix this problem. To fix it, you need to understand 2 things. You need to understand economic philosophy. You need to understand political economy. Is Nigeria a capitalist nation? If so, what are the conditions that make a capitalist country succeed economically and make capitalism work for the man on the street? Those conditions are 3. Number 1, property rights. Number 2, innovation. Number 3, capital. We will make sure that property rights in this country are fully respected. The first thing to do is to move for the abolition of the Land Use Act as a constitutional amendment. Number 2, I will move Nigeria's economy, my government will move Nigeria's economy from oil dependency to an innovation economy. That is what drives the economy of every other country that is making progress. Number 3, we will make access to finance easy to create businesses that will create jobs. Small and medium enterprises are the drivers of job creation.
Hey, thank you very much for putting that very succinctly. All right, so, well, so many skills are actually phasing out in another decade or so. A lot of the courses that people go to university to study will not be relevant anymore to the economy. There is artificial intelligence right around the corner. Mr. Donald Duke, candidate of the SDP, what will be your economic plan to ensure that Nigeria is not left behind?
It's all about productivity. We have a dismal productive base as a nation. We like to style ourselves as the largest economy on the continent at 400 billion, with a population of 200 million. But just take South Africa, a $375 billion economy with 57 million people. So it's all about productivity. There are principally four things you do to enhance the productivity of an individual. Skill based, not just education. It's no longer, education is not as it was before, literacy. No, it has to be functional, it has to be skilled. Health, requisite infrastructure, and in the modern world that you mentioned, artificial intelligence, you must embrace technology. But I want to say this, All these sound good. You can do all these things. You can talk about property rights and innovation, as Mr. Morgan said, but they come to nothing if access to capital is dismal. And that's what the problem in Nigeria. Affordability and access to capital is very low in Nigeria. And I'm intrigued that Mr. Morgan said this, because for a couple of years he was Deputy Governor of Central Bank. And he was in charge of financial institutions. Under his supervision, interest rates in Nigeria were hovering between 25 and 30%.
Please raise your mic so that we can hear you.
Interest rates in Nigeria were hovering between 25 and 30%. You cannot grow a country where 80% of the population are dependent on the goodwill of maybe 20% on expensive capital. It's unheard of. In some countries of the world, developed nations, interest rate is almost zero, because you want people to go out there, lend money, borrow money, and enhance their businesses. But here we are. We raise the bar so high that the preponderance of us cannot access capital at all.
Right, thank you very much. To the candidate of the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party, Tokwe Fasua. Well, so much has been said about Nigeria being the poverty capital of the world. I'm sure you've heard that over and over again. That is almost dizzying. And then you have an economically active population of between 15 and 64 that is largely unproductive, just like Mr. Donald Duke has just said. Now, how are you going to galvanize all of this to make sure that you actually drive the economy in the direction that it should go?
Thank you very much. I like the word you use, galvanize. I'll speak very quickly because it's a loaded question. Apart from actually putting this government under immense pressure for them to review our budget from 8.8 trillion to 15 trillion naira, when I found out that our budget is only 1/6 of the budget of South Africa, and then we claim to be the largest economy in Africa, I don't believe that Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa, first and foremost. The budget for Cape Town City alone is $3 billion, and there are less than 3 million people in Cape Town. I went ahead and checked in Angola. Their budget is twice Nigeria's budget. There's only 25 million people living in Angola. Kenya, 50 million people, $29 billion. Nigeria is in reverse at 180 kilometers per hour. And that's the reason why we are...
There's no sharing and no sharing.
This is why we are... No, I'm just going to advance my seconds anyway. Anyway, just kidding. So, apart from that, the point is that I've also put this government under pressure, and it's an international issue. Nigeria should be growing at 15% per annum. We should be doing double digits. And
how can that translate into jobs? This is about jobs.
Absolutely.
That's the question.
That's the visioning. All right, you're taking my seconds now.
Go ahead.
But this is the visioning, right? It's about the visioning. First of all, before you can achieve anything, you have to vision where you need to be. All right? If you're having a dismal budget that's smaller than what you had in the 1980s, when Nigeria was 70 million people, and now we're 190 million, you can't find the jobs. But let me say this about the jobs. It's not only about capital. There's that overemphasis on capital. We don't even understand capital. Human capital, labor, is used to replace physical capital these days and vice versa. And so I believe that the biggest capital we have are young people, which we should unleash now. What we're going to do in my government, we're going to create a casting policy called the cleanest, safest, and the most organized country in Africa project, where we're going to plug in our youth, because there's a lot of jobs, even in the public sector, in environment, in security, in education, some of which we're going to be able to talk about as we go along. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. The candidate of the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party there. Do you understand why we are where we are, as far as job creation is concerned, in a way that you'll be able to offer solutions? And how soon, if you become president, can we begin to see a change as far as jobs is concerned? I mean, you have a situation where unemployment... Can we begin to see a change as far as jobs is concerned? I mean, you have a situation where unemployment rate right now is quite high, about 20 million Nigerians unemployed, or some would say 20.9%, while about 55% of the youth population is unemployed, or even underemployed or unemployable.
Well, you asked a really great question, and every Nigerian is listening to this very, very, very important moment. You've asked, what is the greatest problem that we have with creating jobs? And I would say It's our political class. It's those who have ruled us with the intent of manufacturing unemployment, and they've done a damn good job at it. In other words, they've created unemployment so that the people, the young people of this country who form the majority of this nation and the voting public will become so impoverished that election cycle after election cycle, they will be looking for 500 naira to eat. And when they come with their 500 naira, having not had jobs for 4 years, that they will then be re-elected back and they will continue to hold power. Unemployment in Nigeria is man-made, and it is created by the people that have ruled us for the last, especially 20 years. So let me tell you what we're going to do to turn it around. First of all, we've got to understand that everything your eye sees is job. It is this microphone is jobs, this mobile phone is jobs, this pen is jobs, what you're wearing is jobs. Any nation that does not manufacture cannot create jobs. And so it's important that we are able to create things and make things that will build our economy, but more importantly, build the products that we need to survive. So what are we going to do? The ANN-led government is going to create a special business intervention fund of 1 trillion naira. And that fund will be used to power the establishment of 1 million businesses that will have business plans committed to hire at least five people in each one of them. So within the first 1 year, the ANN-led government will create 5 million jobs, in addition to simply by just cleaning up our database today and connecting those people who have skills with the people who need to have people to employ. We can create at least 3 million jobs. On top of that, there are opportunities to create 10 million jobs in agriculture, 7 million jobs in housing, 3 million jobs in road construction, 1 million teachers will be employed, and through technology and entertainment, we will create 4 million jobs. So we have already
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The candidate of the Alliance for New Nigeria there, Mr. Adroche. Now to the candidate of the Action Democratic Party, Engineer Yabagi Sani. Jobs, 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 that is what's on the mind of the Nigerians, especially the youth. If you go all across the country, you find jobless youth totally idle. Do you have the magic wand to change the narrative as far as job creation is concerned?
Yes, very much so. The symbol of our party is a book, meaning that education is very important. When you have educated population, creating jobs is no longer a problem. We also understand the fact that insecurity is a big problem that we have in this country, because 70% of our population who happen to be farmers today cannot go to their farms. So we must solve the problem of insecurity so that we can grow jobs. People don't have to come to the urban centers, to be living in squalors or something like that. So our government is going to run on 5 elements. Capacity, we are going to grow capacity of the government. We are going to have a vision that everybody can key into. We are going to have credibility, and we are also going to have organization and plan. That is what this present government lacks. No vision, no capacity, no organization, no credibility. The moment you have that, investments will chase you, because foreign investments are looking for destinations that have the kind of fundamentals that Nigeria has. Nigeria is big in terms of resources, in terms of human capital, in terms of the mere size of the country. You produce anything in Nigeria, 200 million people are there. If they are earning living wage or living in a manner that they have purchasing power, you grow this economy. Our economy in 2014 was about almost $600 billion. Today, our economy has shrunk to about $360 billion, which means you have lost almost 30% of your economy, and you say we're not in recession. We're actually in recession. CBN has come out to tell us that we are back in recession. They didn't say it directly, but it's true. So what we are going to do is that we are going to take advantage of where we have comparative advantage, which is the oil and gas. We are not going to take depot loans from countries like China and we become slaves in 10, 20 years or 10 years time. We are going to grow that economy through internally generated revenue from oil and gas, plunged into agriculture, housing, education, and also infrastructure development.
All right, thank you very much. The candidates of the Action Democratic Party, the Engineer Yabagi Yusuf Sani. Now to the candidate of the African Action Congress, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. What really can you do to turn around the situation in providing jobs for the teeming population of young people that I believe you are very concerned about. More than half of them are jobless.
Thank you. And let me say here that there is no economic philosophy in the world that can provide jobs when you don't have electricity. That is number one. Or that can provide you jobs when you don't have infrastructure. In fact, Bill Gates came to Nigeria and said to our leaders that as long as you are not investing in your youth, forget about economic development. So why are we here wasting our time dancing around the issue? When countries have problems about creating jobs, they invest in public works projects. So what are we going to do? In the power sector, we're increasing our power generation from 5,000 to 17,000. That will provide over 2 million jobs in the solar energy sector alone, renewables. We are going to double our infrastructure. There are 202 federal kilometers of 202,000 kilometers of federal highways. We want to increase that to 400,000 kilometers. Our railway system is about 3,775 kilometers. We want to double that. We want to provide drinking water, and the federal government must be the one driving the development. We must invest in our youth, we must invest in our people. As long as we don't invest in our education, we are also wasting time. What are we going to do? We are hiring 200,000 teachers. Immediately we come into office. And going from that, we are hiring 160,000 health workers to go to the rural areas, 200 per local government, because health is wealth. The problem with our country is that we have not placed ourselves in a position to produce because we don't invest in our people, because our leaders don't love us. And it is not true that we don't have economic philosophers. Every 4 years, the World Bank sends out here somebody they said is the best economist in the World Bank. But they leave us broken because they bring in here the structural adjustment program, what Fela Nicola may call South African people, at the expense of our country. So what we're going to do is provide jobs in all the sectors and make Nigeria a place that is workable for Nigerians.
All right, thank you very much. The candidate of the African Action Congress, AAC, Omoyele Sowore. Now you just touched on infrastructure. Now Nigeria has an infrastructure deficit that is in the trillions. Experts say that Nigeria, that's according to the African Development Bank, that Nigeria needs about $100 billion every year to close the infrastructure gap. Now, how would you finance this huge, capital that we need to fix the infrastructure deficit, whether it's in the area of rail, roads, and any infrastructure that you want to talk about?
Yes.
Kingsley Omalo, please.
Yes, the YPP government will do a number of things to be able to finance infrastructure much more effectively. Let me first say that the current government has borrowed $12 billion over the past 3 years. No jobs have been created. Let's be very clear. So without the foundations, you will go nowhere. Now, on the question of financing infrastructure specifically, my government will turn the New Development Bank of Nigeria into what looks like the BNDES of Brazil, a super development bank that will finance long-term infrastructure in Nigeria. And that bank will have a charge on the consolidated revenue fund of this country. That's what that bank should be doing, not what it is doing now. What it should be doing, what it's doing now in terms of trying to give loans to small businesses, is what the venture capital fund of 1 trillion naira, which I proposed more than a year ago, but that idea has become attractive to many people afterwards. That's what that 1 trillion naira venture capital will be doing, financing the starting up of new businesses. We will also go the route of public-private partnerships for major arterial infrastructure, major roads that connect regions in this country, major seaports. We will go through the public-private partnership route so that government can focus more using its own resources on financing infrastructure in the rural areas of Nigeria. So these are the kinds of approaches we have towards infrastructure.
All right, thank you very much, Professor Kingsley Omalo, the candidate of the YPP. Next, of course, is the candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Mr. Donald Duke. Infrastructure is a major problem. TCN, some say that's the transmission company of Nigeria that's in the power chain some say is the weakest link. Geckos have threatened to shut down power plants all across the country. Rail is not exactly where it should be. Roads is still in bad shape. How will you fix the infrastructure problem, considering the fact that Nigeria hardly has the money for it?
Let me take just one of the infrastructure that bothers us more than all the others: power. We're still running our power sector largely as we ran it pre-independence, Electricity Corporation of Nigeria, where we largely one broad organization generates, transmits, and distributes. Even though the sector has been broken down here and there, it's still largely the same concept. It is true that there are a multiplicity of power sources today: solar, gas, and all that. But take a nation that flares, until recently we were flaring about 2.5 billion cubic feet of gas daily. We've done this for about 40 years, and 2.5 billion cubic feet of gas is approximately 25 million liters of diesel. Nigeria was flaring this daily for well over 30 years. You think of a nation where the gas is captured, right, piped and transmitted throughout the length and breadth of this country, so that generation is localized. My philosophy is this: anything that is essential must be local. You cannot generate power from Lagos, a power station, for instance, to supply Abuja. You need to localize efficiencies. Now, if you were able, and you can do this in 30 months, collect all the gas that you're currently flaring, pipe them throughout the length and breadth of this nation, localize generation, you would increase power generation astronomically. Take a city like Kano. Kano used to be the second largest industrial zone after Lagos. Kano is literally dead economically. There's no power source there. Why do we have gas in Kano? Even Abuja doesn't have gas. So we have failed in that respect, trying to use the same traditional methods. No, power is essential as water is today in modern living. So you've got to find other ways of distributing, of generating power to make it available to all. Like I said, what
thank you very much.
Must be local.
Thank you very much, the candidate of the Social Democratic Party there, Mr. Donald Duke. Mr. Sowore shaking his head as Mr. Donald Duke was speaking there. Nigeria has a 17 million housing deficit.
20 million actually.
Okay, and 206 federal roads to be fixed. 1.7 trillion naira to fix those roads. How will you go about fixing the infrastructure problem?
Thank you very much. I was shaking my head because, we now suffer a certain level of elitism as the people, especially those of us who are lucky enough to be running for president. We probably don't know who Nigerians are. And if we do know who Nigerians are, we would understand that the infrastructure problem is not about money.
What is it about?
We're not even maintaining what we're building, right? We could actually have a maintenance budget in this country for the next 10 years, that anything we build, we maintain. I've been to some countries that don't have as much infrastructure as we have. But when we build it, we destroy it immediately. And that's why I said, we need to backtrack a bit before talking about the capital issue. The bottom line is that what they call public good in economics, we don't have. Education, no schools. 62,000 schools in Nigeria. As at 2014. Thereabout. All right. And there are almost 8 80 million children or more who should be in those schools. If you divide that is 1,200 students per school. We don't even have those numbers in the schools. I've been to schools in Zamfara, in Sokoto. I've been to schools in Yobe. I've been to schools even in Akwa Ibom, in Omoyele in the last few weeks. There's nothing going on in many of these places. They're not being taught. So we have jobs for students, for teachers. I'll hand back to what my friend Fela said. We need to create about 2 million jobs for teachers. And so, in terms of financing infrastructure, the issue is not just the financing, else we've been rushing into taking more loans. We're owing $76 billion now, and I must say that it's not $12 billion that they borrowed in the last 3 years, it's almost $40 billion they borrowed because they devalued the currency by almost half. And they moved from about 36 billion to where we are today, 76 billion. Alright, so there's a lot to be done. And the last thing I'll say before I go is that until we start producing things ourselves and building things ourselves, we're going nowhere. Imported development will never work for us. Part of our ideas in infrastructure fixing is that our students, civil engineering students in this school, in this country, should be able to build little roads and get paid a token for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next, of course, is the candidate of the Alliance for New Nigeria, Mr. Fernando Otoye. A lot of skills are being outsourced. Artisans, Nigerians have to go to neighboring countries to look for artisans to build infrastructure and all of that. Now, how are you going to close the infrastructure gap with this kind of challenge? And do you agree with the SDP candidate that it's really all about power? That power is at the base of us fixing our infrastructure gap.
Oh yes, and then let me quickly say to the average Nigerian who is out there, because a lot of the times we throw this word infrastructure, and it's the only part that comes up with many trillions and billions of dollars.
What's your understanding of infrastructure?
Is simply everything that you need as the backbone to be able to get the nation working and to get the society working right. So yes, we're talking about power, we're talking about roads, we're talking about rail, we're talking about hospitals, we're talking about houses, we're talking about schools. These are the things that every society that works needs, and those things are things that last long and they need low interest or low cost financing. So let's talk about what is the most difficult thing or the greatest challenge we have with infrastructure and funding. Well, let's first understand that there is money all over the world looking for the next big project, low-cost money that is looking for infrastructure projects. The challenge why that money is not really coming to Nigeria anymore is because of two things. Number one, corruption, and number two, wastage. Let me quickly talk about wastage for a moment. Nigerian roads are constructed at the highest cost in any road construction per kilometer in the world. Yet, Nigeria has the second largest deposit of bitumen in the world, and we're still importing 90% of our bitumen. So we are seeing here complete waste of resources when we have what it takes to be able to build roads at cheaper costs, but we are making sure that we are doing it in a way, or let me put it this way, our political rulers are making sure that they're using infrastructure to siphon money for electoral funding. We will see that stop under an ANN-led administration. We will make sure that we reduce the cost of infrastructure. We will make sure that we use the money that we allocate to infrastructure, to all of the schools, hospitals. We will use them judiciously. So rather than use 28 billion naira to build one flyover in Abuja, we will make sure that we are able to use that money to construct more that delivers to the people of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, candidates of the Alliance for New Nigeria, Mr. Fernando Otoye. Now to the Action Democratic Party candidate, Engineer Yabagi Yusuf. You know, when you hear engineer, you actually have some level of confidence that this might just be the skills that we need to fix Nigeria's infrastructure challenges. What exactly is the missing link here?
Well,
why aren't we getting it right infrastructure-wise? And what are you going to do? That's what we want to hear, your solution to the infrastructure problem.
Yeah, our solution is first, leadership. That's the missing link between Nigeria and greatness. We are also going to make sure that we address the issue of stomach infrastructure, because that is very important to every Nigerian. You may build all this infrastructure, believe you me, if people are not satisfied, they don't have food in their stomach, they will vandalize them. So we will address that issue. How do we do that? We will make sure that the government takes advantage of what God has given to us, which is turning these resources to the benefits of the citizens. How do we do that? We'll attract foreign investment. We're not going to privatize, the entities, the state, companies, to friends. The problem we had was that it was an attempt to build infrastructure that we privatized power sector, but we did it wrongly. We privatized to ourselves. We don't have the capacity. We don't have the foreign investment to bring in. So we are going to center on attracting foreign investment. That's what you need.
And to do that, you address the issue of visibility, like I said, corruption. My colleague has talked about corruption. Corruption should be when you jail somebody that is a friend of the president or working closely with the president who have been found wanting, corruption will immediately take care of itself. Until we begin to do what other countries are doing, we will have problems with developing infrastructure. Like I said, we have gold mine, and that gold mine is yielding a lot. Only that it's been stolen. Everything that is accruing to this country is almost more than half of it is being stolen. Nigerian Senate has conducted studies. The various agencies have conducted studies, and they have come to the conclusion that Nigerian oil and gas sector belongs to a few. By the time you block all those leakages, believe me, you will have enough to develop infrastructure. Corruption is the issue. If you can tackle it, foreign investments will come. That's how all other countries are doing it.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Sowore of the African Action Congress, what's your understanding of infrastructure? What do you think, what kind of infrastructure really do Nigerians need, and how are you going to fix that?
Thank you. I said earlier on that Nigeria was set up as a business, and it has been business as usual. Nigeria is also a country of contractors who are not builders, and we must return this country to people who can build and maintain infrastructure. What is infrastructure? Is everything that I stated earlier on in my opening statement regarding what you use to move people from place to place, what you use to facilitate education, what you use to facilitate health, what you use, even in this modern day, to facilitate communication, which is ICT infrastructure. And by the way, under our government in AAC, broadband will become a human right in Nigeria, because that is one of the biggest infrastructure we need to go into the future. And the rest is, of course, we need roads. We need over 17 million homes. You mentioned deficit in infrastructure development, particularly in building homes for our people. We need to maintain, we need to build, we need to create, we also need to innovate when it comes to infrastructure.
I'm sure we all know what we need. But what we don't seem to know is how we will achieve those needs and meet those needs.
Just listen to me.
Go ahead.
I'm going to be president very soon, and you have to listen to me all the time. Yes. So
remember, no clapping, please. Thank you very much.
What you're
We
saying,
appreciate your cooperation so far.
you're taking away from my time. Man.
Go ahead.
Yes. What you're saying is that we have a comprehensive plan, and I laid it out to build infrastructure in this country. We would dualize all the highways in this country, because that was how public work brought America out of depression. In 1956, when they needed to create integration, they built roads, they built rail lines, they built telephone facilities, and they integrated, and they started producing, and they got out of poverty. We must build our country out of poverty.
All right, thank you very much. I will take the liberty at this point to indicate to my producers that I will give all of you gentlemen 1 minute each to talk about the issue of data. A lot of people have said every economic projection that you actually want to make, you have to know the number of Nigerians there are. You have to know where they are, the young people, the women, the elderly, and all the rest of them. So without this basic information at your fingertips, how do you fix all of these problems that we're talking about here? Should I go this way? Okay, back to the candidate of the Young Progressive Party. 1 minute, please.
Yes. As Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, I was a member of the Committee of Governors, and we were funding and still fund, I believe the Central Bank still funds, the National Bureau of Statistics. The reason the Central Bank started funding the NBS is because we realized the importance of data, statistics. What's the inflation rate? How many people are we in this country? We don't know these things very accurately. So we invested in the NBS. But the NBS is focusing a lot on financial data, inflation data. But the reason we are funding it is because the government does not take funding the NBS as a priority. The NBS is under the Ministry of National Planning, and they don't give it any real money. My government will make financing of statistical research a major priority. We will invest heavily in knowing the numbers. How many people are born in this country?
All right, thank you very much. 1 minute for Mr. Donald Duke. A lot of people say, we don't even know how many Nigerians there are. We don't know who is a Nigerian and who is a non-Nigerian. So how do you get it right if you don't get it right at that level?
The last census in Nigeria was 2006. We don't know our numbers. We are just approximating. When the 200 million we mentioned is an approximate. We need to know the numbers. We need to have the data. We need to have a national ID card that has all the data of an individual, that has your individual data. It will help for crime. It will help for job creation. It has to be compulsory. You know, in a society, modern living today, where you cannot function. So you cannot do banking, you cannot send your children to schools, you are not eligible to the NHS, the National Health Insurance Scheme, etc. So it's almost compulsory, you gather the data. Now, the NBS is a disaster. For anyone to say that unemployment in Nigeria, that's the current statistic, is about 15%, is living in la-la land. Unemployment in this country, between unemployment and underemployment, you're looking at around 70%. And that's why I said earlier on that 70 to 80% depend on 20% of the population.
All right, thank you very much to Mr. Tope Fasua, Abundant Nigerian Party. You have 1 minute to tell us how really will you get this data together?
Thank you very much.
Yes.
You know, I must say, I've been repeating the fact that, look, we haven't fixed the basics, but we're jumping the gun. Every country that we go to that's looking lovely and all that is got to fix the basics. I was on a committee that worked on the Oransai report, and we discovered that they recommended that the 2,100 staff of Nigeria Bureau for Statistics should be reduced. And I was the one that moved against it. Why would we be reducing this? We have 8,900 wards in Nigeria. There's nothing wrong if you have 2 people gathering data in each of those wards. That is job creation. We say we don't have jobs. We start to look for credit. We want to give our children loans when Nigeria cannot pay $76 billion. All right? So, data, very basic. Benjamin Disraeli said there are 3 types of lies. Lies, damn lies, and statistics. Why did he say so? The only thing that's worse than planning without data is planning with wrong data. So it's something we must prioritize, and we have the students, we have the youth that will gather this data and give us a very clean slate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Mr. Fernando. Very quickly, you have 1 minute to explain to us exactly how you will even gather this data to have an accurate, figure of the Nigerians that you're providing all these things for.
Well, as a management consultant, 2 things that we always say. There are 2 words that go together: data and decisions. You cannot take the right decisions without the right data. And I believe very strongly that the reason why we don't seem to have data and the right data and the infrastructure to build data in this country is because the rulers do not want to have the right decisions. They don't want people to be able to say how many people we have in the country, so that they can be able to manipulate our voting statistics and outcomes. They don't want us to know how many people we have that are truly unemployed. I mean, if you look at the National Directorate for Employment, they are the ones that are supposed to have data for the number of people that are unemployed. Go to their offices, they don't even have lights. So you realize that there is so much that needs to be done with data gathering. And for me, I believe those 2 things that we need to do is we need to find public-private partnerships. There are statistics students in Nigeria who do projects every year, over 10,000 of them every year. They need to be gathering data and putting them in the National Bureau of Statistics, and this is one of the ways. We also need to use technology to drive data collection.
All right, thank you very much to the candidate of the Action Democratic Party, Engineer Sonny. Do you agree with all gentlemen that data is vital, it's very key if we were to get economy and every other sector right?
When I started working, it was I know that the issue of data capturing, data management, and data distribution is a problem with Nigerian economy. And this is deliberate. It's a conspiracy against the people of this country because people running our affairs, especially the regulatory agencies, where delivery of what you call democracy, delivery of democracy or something like benefit to the people, those regulatory agencies, you wonder why they are not today online. For instance, CBN should be online with the Office of the General Federation. That should be online with Revenue Fiscal Commission. They should be online with DBR. Today, I'm telling you that our assets, nobody knows how much we are making in this country, how much we are exporting, how much we are making, and this is criminal conspiracy
on the people of this country, because data capturing is as easy as a man running his small business. They have internet that they manage those things. How come the asset of this country is managed on manual basis as we speak?
All right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Do you agree, Mr. Sowore, that there is a conspiracy around the issue of data to know exactly what the number of Nigerians are, so that you actually know where they are and what exactly they need and how you can actually give them those deliverables?
You know, there's data and data everywhere. There's nobody to process it. As they say in Nigeria, what you are looking for, Shokoto, is inside your Shokoto. And what I'm saying here is that we're already capturing data. We capture data from BVN, which Kingsley claimed he introduced to the central bank. We capture from telecom companies.
It's not a claim.
National Population Commission captures data. The National Identity Card captures data. INEC captures data. Immigration captures data. But these analog leaders don't know how to process data. And we need not only to process data, we need to secure our data and synchronize them. If you use the data we have, we already have enough to handle a lot of our problems. But we don't have a digital government in place. That is why you must appoint and employ and elect, most importantly, a digital government that can process data in the interest of the Nigerian people. Come February 16, 2019, vote for Sowore.
And that's the ANRT.
All right, thank you very much. Audience, please be reminded, you have been civil so far, you have been cooperating so far. Let's not lose it at this point. Okay, so now, to the question of security. That's very, very, very important. We will be remiss not to talk about this before we're done with this debate. Now, what I really want you gentlemen to address is the specifics, okay? But we'll take a short break. When we come back, we will get into the next line of questioning. Thank you very much.
Sydenews wins Best TV Station of the Year at the 2018 Nigeria Media Merit Awards.
The television station of the year is TV.
That we're getting this award means that there's so much that is reposed in us to make sure that we keep up the tempo and we do better than what we've done.
Hey my people, RSBP this election, then register, select your candidate, vote for your candidate, protect your vote. One love, let's make Nigeria great again. Thank you very much.
Distinguished senators, we have on the floor of the House a motion entitling each senator to a private jet in order to protect us from the hazards of our roads and from the dangers posed by these kidnappers. All in favor of this all-important bill, say aye.
Aye. Vote, say aye, vote.
And the ayes have it.
Mommy, your eyes have had it again. Because the eyes always have it. They do nothing but sleep. And when they eventually wake up, the eyes will have it again.
How dare you?
We voted you in. So you are accountable to us. Can't they even do electronic voting?
They even have the buttons there on their table. In fact, we want electronic voting.
Rice, beans, dodo. No one think you're basically that. And the day before. Because you don't want to try other options. Say no, pounded yam, egusi, or bono. Try other options. They don't work you.
Hi.
You don't carry your mind as well.
Can I have a... That your bottle, is it soft? It's soft. Okay. And then... Do you have a
so sorry. No change your order. Chop the way you do it. Chop since we feel remain as you do so. I beg, madam, if I'm on the jam, shut up, I can talk. Let me talk. Pounded jam. Then catfish. Then Pakoto. Then
these elections, there are more presidential candidates than the two you know. Be informed. Know your options.
right, you're welcome back. This is the 2019 presidential debate. You might be safe to say that it would be the last one before the February 16 presidential election. Thank you so much for joining us. You've been listening to the candidates, all 6 of them, reel out their plans for different sectors of the Nigerian economy, and of course how the plan to go about those policy framework that they might have. Now, just to inform you, we did invite the candidate, the presidential candidate of the APC, President Muhammadu Buhari, to this debate. As you can see, he's not here. And of course, the presidential candidate of the PDP, former Vice President Alhaji Abubakar Atiku, obviously, he also is not here. But let me go on very quickly to the next question, because we're pressed for time, and it's almost as if we have not even looked at so many key areas. But let me come to you, Mr. Kingsley Morgan of the YPP. Now, how are you going to push education reform? That's very key in an environment where politically powerful trade unions bear down the throat and neck of the federal government. I mean, obviously, you're aware of the ASU strike that has just been conditionally called off. Now, how will you, navigate within this kind of environment to ensure that education is where it really should be?
Education will be my priority as president. I'm a professor, so I understand very personally the issues involved in the education sector. I will end ASU strikes permanently in this country as president. There will be no ASU strike after I take office, because my government will meet with the obligations of the federal government to university and to university teachers. So that's number one. And we will reform education in a manner that addresses the foundational issues of capacity in our universities. The university environment is very weak. Now, we will invest in education by moving the budget from the 5% where it is today to 20% as the first budget of my government. That is number one. Number two, we will invest in teacher training to make sure that all our teachers are retrained and recertified. We will reform the curriculum towards skills education, vocational skills, and we will invest in educational infrastructure. That is what we're going to do.
Thank you very much. That looks like just 1 minute there. I'm not sure. Okay, to the candidate of the Social Democratic Party, please. I guess you have 1 minute to explain what you will do. Will basic education be your focus, or will you start from the top, like Mr. Kingsley Morgan?
Let me not talk about what I will do. Let me talk about what I did as governor. We gave teachers tax breaks in Cross River State. We gave them urban allowances that literally doubled their salaries and the rural areas. So we made it attractive for teachers to teach in the rural areas. We came up with a policy of not having more than 30 students in a classroom for secondary, 3 arms to a class, 6 classes, which is 540 students in a school, and not more than 20 in a primary school, 6 classes, 300 students. You need to have 2 teachers teaching a course, right? Because you have a policy of no one being left behind. But before you go into that, we need to look at our curriculum again. Our curriculum is outdated. The policy of having 2 teachers, no one being left behind, ensures that the weaker students catch up, especially tutored, because there's nothing like a poor student. You have poor teachers. Now, going further, you must ensure that teacher progression is tied onto student performance.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, the time is brief, I understand that, but 1 minute for you to explain exactly what you will do in terms of education. How much priority would that be? Would basic education be your priority or tertiary? And really, do you really think that it's practical for us to continue to have free education? At what level?
Well, our constitution guarantees free education for now, at least at universal up to secondary. It's an argument about the universities. 1 minute is not enough for me to talk about the travesty that is universal basic education in this country, and how many schools, primary public schools, I've been to where nothing gets taught all year. You see the building, you see some students in there, nobody's teaching anybody anything. Empire, people were employed, they don't go to work. And we're manufacturing a mass another millions of illiterate. But let me talk about what I do with the tertiary. Every student in this country should begin to practice that what they're studying. I mentioned something about the civil engineering students earlier on. The electricity problem of this country will never be solved until students of electrical engineering get involved and begin to perform experiments and begin to learn from the ground up. Even students of history should be the ones going to the nearest village and collecting the history and the languages of our people that is disappearing. This country is an unbuilt country. It is the people and the youth of this country that will build this country.
All right, thank you very much to Mr. Fernando Rotary of the Alliance for New Nigeria. Basic education, will that be your priority, or tertiary education? And how will you really fund it? And a lot of people are actually curious, how soon really will we begin to see these changes?
Well, I can tell you a quick story of something that we did in 2008, and you can see how quickly the lives of students and how quickly education can change. In 2008, my organization, Visible Impact, helped 48,150 students in Oyo State to prepare for the NECO exams. At that point in time, or prior to that, Oyo State had always performed at about number 28 in the League of States in maths and number 23 in English. We trained those students for 10 days in 22 centers. We were not just teaching them the techniques of learning how to pass exams, but more importantly, the values of what leaders do to be able to succeed in life. The good news was that when those students, 48,000 students, took the exams in 2009, Oyo State came number 3 in English and number 4 in maths. Why? Because they learned something that helped them for life. Now, this has also been taken by Anambra State. Today, Anambra State is...
So this is the template you want
it's something we can do. We can do this by driving techniques and values into the curriculum.
Thank you very much. Now to the candidate of the Action Democratic Party, Engineer Yabagi Sani. The same question to you. I mean, basic education or tertiary education. Now, the real question is, how will you navigate through, trying to fix education with the labor unions breathing down your neck?
Yeah, well, first of all, the symbol of our party is book, which means we treasure education more than anything. And for the information of the public, we are number 10 on the ballot. So when you go out on the February 16th to vote, please vote for APP number 10. Education is number 1 in our priority. What we are going to do, we are going to attract the private sector to come into education, maybe do something better than 2% education tax which we pay today, and ensure that there is that partnership between the government and the private sector so that we can provide quality education for our people. Maybe we cannot make it free now, but we can declare a kind of an emergency on education, because education, if you want to bring down any country to its knees, attack its education system. And that's what I think is happening. That's why some of my colleagues are saying here that this government and the successive government before these ones probably have the kind of conspiracy against people of this country. That's why they refuse to fund education. For instance, this budget of this year has only 7%.
All right, thank you very much.
Required.
Thank you very much. To the candidate of the African Action Congress, Mr. Sowore. Well, government is cash-strapped. It has been saying it cannot really fund tertiary education the way that many Nigerians would want it. So how are you going to handle this, especially when it comes to these unions and, of course, funding?
Government is not cash-strapped. Government does not want to invest in its people, and then they claim they are cash-strapped. By the way, don't go too far on the ballot paper. Our own is number 3, AAC. So no need to go to number 10. What I'm trying to say to you is that we are not investing in education, we will do so. We are hiring right on the back 200,000 teachers as soon as I sworn into office. We are going to invest in our children, and we are putting aside, and whichever we will get to 1.3 trillion naira as a one-time investment to take children who are not in school now in school. We're making it a crime for parents not to send their children to school in this country. It is the law. With regards to ASU, don't forget, I'm the only person standing here, apart from Donald Duke, who was a social secretary in one university, who is a student union leader, who know how to speak the language of ASU, the language of activism. We will discuss in a room in what we call a Luta Continua, Victoria, etc., and solve the problem of ASU. there will no longer be strife under our government.
I'll ask you a yes or no question very quickly, still on education. Do you think, Engineer Baggy, that education, free education is sustainable? Yes or no, please?
No, it's not sustainable under this environment.
Mr. Sowore, do you
It
use
is completely sustainable. It is possible and it must be made available.
Okay, Mr. Falan Protoy.
Absolutely, and free education must be a right to everyone, and we will make sure within 4 years that it gets
At
to
all
universities, up to secondary school, and then within 4 years to tertiary institutions.
Yes, free education is sustainable for primary and secondary, but at university level, our idea in ANRP is that every university student should have projects they do every year, and they get paid. And if you can pay the students like 50,000 every semester,
that was supposed to be
then you can now charge them some fees at tertiary level.
Mr. Donald Duke.
Yes, any brain untrained is a drain on this nation.
Okay. Professor Mawano.
Yes.
Free education, is it sustainable?
Is sustainable at primary and secondary school levels, and at the university level, the federal government should heavily subsidize education.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, let me quickly move on to the next issue, still staying around the budgetary allocation, and we are going to make it a little wider now. Now, if you get into government, the first 100 days is always a very important marker of how the new government has done or is doing. Now, in the first 100 days, what will be the low-hanging fruits for you as soon as you become president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? The first 100 days, what will be the most important areas that you want to tackle as quickly as possible, hitting the ground running?
I am going to put an end to the idea of waiting for 100 days before government acts in this country. That is what happened.
I didn't hear that.
I'm not going to be part of a 100 days ritual.
Okay.
The job of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria starts on the day the President is sworn in. It is that kind of mentality that made it impossible for the current Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, retired and tired President General Buhari, to spend 6 months before putting his cabinet together, because he thought he had 100 days. I'm acting from day one on all of the programs on the agenda and manifesto of our party, which is Spicer Heat, that Nigeria will be secure on day one. There will be action towards providing electricity from day one, infrastructure from day one, clamping down on corruption from day one, creating an economy that is inclusive from day one, restructuring this Nigeria in the interest of Nigerian people from day one, providing health from day one, education from day one, providing food security by investing in agriculture from day one, and also ensuring that we invest in technology from day one. It is called Spicer Heat. Nigeria is too dull and dry. We want to heat up and spice up this country. That is the agenda of our party. We don't have the luxury of 100 days. We don't have the luxury of 100 hours. We don't even have the luxury of an hour. As soon as you become the president of Nigeria, you should abandon and jettison the idea of waiting for 100 days, so that we don't also spend our scarce resources in advertising in newspapers for the 100 days of the president, because it's one of the things that is destroying this country, that we wait until things get really, really bad before we act. Time to act is now, and the action president is coming your way come February 16, 2019.
Okay, thank you very much. To Engineer Yabagi, please. The first 100 days, do you believe that it's a waste of time? How long will it take for Nigerians to begin to see the impact of your government or governance as soon as you become president?
We will certainly hit the ground running, because we already have the plans for this country.
In what areas specifically?
Education in particular is our priority. That's why we have the book as Action Democratic Right symbol. We're going to give qualitative education. Free does not breed quality. That's why I'm saying free education is not sustainable. We must give qualitative, affordable education. We are going to pay 100,000 minimum wage as we come in. We are going to make sure that the issue of subsidy is put to rest. We are going to generate 5 million jobs. As soon as we come in, you will see programs that will make you generate those jobs. we are also going to make
Audience, please, thank you.
Insecurity is tackled in a professional manner. We will engage the insurgents. We will engage people who are asking for the country to be dismembered. We will engage those who today are unemployed by way of making sure that the revenue accrued in this country is put to use. We will make sure that we reform the regulatory agencies, because a government is as strong as its regulatory agencies. Today, they are not performing their functions as enshrined in the constitution of this country. We are going to make sure that we restructure the economy in the manner provided for in our constitution. The National Assembly can do the structuring as an ongoing thing. That's why the Assembly is supposed to be able to amend the constitution to take care of whatever aspirations of the economy is at any given point in time. We will make sure that Nigerians begin to live safely, because today, where everybody is afraid, you can't travel from one place to the other. We are going to make sure that our children are back in schools, because today we have 13.5 or so million children out of school. And we are also going to ensure that Nigeria is given rightful place in the scheme of things. I'm talking about being respected again, in the community of nations.
All right, thank you very much to Mr. Felagrote. Now, I'm going to have to itemize 3 points, and I want you to tell me the most important one that you'll be tackling as soon as you become president, and this goes for all of you gentlemen. Naira has been 360 to the dollar for 2 years now, and we know that this is artificial, and a lot has been going on all around the world as far as the global economy is concerned. That's number one. Now, petrol prices have been 145 for over 2 years. It costs 145 to buy petrol at the pump. That's been going on for a long time now. And according to MITO, electricity tariffs should have gone up at least twice since 2015. As a matter of fact, discos have been saying that they need cost-reflective tariff for them to realize the goals of providing electricity for Nigerians. Which would be the most important one for you, and how long should we see that change? In 100 days, 6 months?
I think that many of these which one is more important or which one is less important is not really the issue at hand. Because most of the time they are all interrelated. And so the first most important thing that you always need to do to be able to solve the problems of this nation is get the right committed leadership in each of the key areas that will solve your sectoral problems. So you need the right committed leadership at the same time in power as you need the right committed leadership in petroleum and oil and gas, as you need the right level and committed leadership in managing your economy. You cannot say, I would manage the economy first, or I would manage power first. They are all interrelated.
And you will take subsidy?
And so this is my point, that you will work with an integrated team of experts that will help to make sure that we do these things simultaneously and also do them at the same time. The most important things that we're going to do is that we will work with a team that is committed to removing bottlenecks that are stifling the government as we speak today. The second most important thing that we're going to do is to reduce the wastage in government and the corruption that has looted our economy of all the resources that we need to be able to invest and grow our different sectors. The third most important thing is that we must reform our civil service and make sure that our civil service has the orientation of how do we help the private sector succeed. Because once we get the private sector succeeding, we will grow jobs, the economy will grow, and it will grow sustainably. The fourth most important thing is we've got to restructure our economy, especially by making sure that we reallocate resources to the communities that are currently hosting the mineral resources and the natural resources of our nation. So that what then happens is, for us, we believe that we need to reallocate those resources to 20% to the communities, 20% to the local government, 20% to the state, and 40% to the federal government. The last thing is we've got to reorient our people as a whole. Now, let me be clear. When you do all of these things, the economic value, you will trigger the economy, and then you will see that every other thing begins to work out well, and it will be one or the other. We're solving the problem of Nigeria at the same time.
Mr. Tokwe Fashua, low-hanging fruits. Well, some don't agree with the 100 days issue. How long should Nigerians have to wait to begin to see a difference in their lives if you become president?
Thank you. I agree we don't have that time at all, and we need something that's more than urgent. We don't actually need a fighter as a president. We need a wartime president. Perhaps we don't understand the problem we're in, Nigeria is at war. On the economic front, apart from on issues of security, you have to have a wartime and a Marshall Plan. My campaign is titled The Revolution of Ideas. I will not be thinking about Naira rate. The only way Naira will be fixed is if the country is productive on every front. Forget about petrol. Let's incentivize something else. I discovered that palm oil on the street is worth 5 times more than petrol. So why are we not incentivizing people in the area of food? And of course, the issue of electricity bill, I actually realized that Nigeria is now paying a lot more we're paying a lot more in Nigeria than a lot of my friends who live in UK, in US, or Canada is a little bit higher than us. But you look at our per capita income, why are we paying this much on electricity? They're pricing in the inefficiency. So what we're going to be doing, number one, within 100 days, the first thing I'm going to do is to kind of review the budget from the 8 trillion to 15 trillion, and I know we can fund it. We have to get to talk about that. And I also will ensure that that budget is pro-poor. Secondly, we're going to be employing at least 2 million teachers, especially for the universal basic education level for the primary schools, especially because they're not being taught right now. Also, we're going to digitize the civil service and move people away from the secretariat, move them to the villages and local government where they are needed. Even if you send them there and all they do is buy their lunch there, you are reviving the lives in those villages.
Mr. I will take the liberty of taking 20 seconds out of your time. You have to forgive me for that. Yes, what will be the low-hanging fruits for you? Nigerians are curious to know, when you become president, if you become president, what will be the most important things that you will tackle?
Well, you need to bring efficiency to governance. It's critical. Now, all of this has to do with, we talked about subsidy earlier on. This is a nation imports petroleum products at a certain price and sells it at half the price. You wouldn't do that in your own business. I do agree that there is a need to cushion the lifestyle and livelihood of Nigerians. But you're flaring gas. And the same gas you flare, you sell locally at international price, but you import petroleum products from international markets and subsidize it locally. It just doesn't make sense. We spend more on subsidizing petroleum products and education. We spend about 20% of our budget on subsidies for folks to drive on cars that on roads that do not exist. So common sense in governance is the basic thing. The quality of people you bring into governance, the leadership of the various ministries and parastatals is important. A clear vision of where you want to take the country to is critical. Okay. But above all, the will to make it happen.
All right, thank you very much. So the candidate of the Young Progressive Party, we're really pressed for time, and so I have to do this very quickly. Yes.
The first thing I'll do as president of Nigeria is to announce my cabinet of competent people within 48 hours. Now, not only that, I will be the first president to announce a cabinet since 1999 with all portfolios allocated. So you know who's going to be minister for what. Not just that you're announcing people, but no allocation. So if they go to the Senate, what questions should the Senate be asking them? That should be influenced by their portfolio. So that's number one. Number two, we will set up 4 offices that will drive my presidency, and it has never happened before in this country. The first will be the Office of National Strategy. The second will be the National Office of Risk Management. The third will be the Office of Performance Management. And the fourth will be the Office of Human Capital Development. These will be small units, not big bureaucracies, inside the presidency. They will drive 21st century governance in Nigeria. And then, after that is set, there are 3 things we will be
right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Like I say, life ain't fair. Now, to your closing remarks, gentlemen, Mr. Sowore, what you have 30 seconds to speak to Nigerians. Your closing remarks, please. 30 seconds.
Thank you so much, everyone, for the opportunity to engage with you tonight. We have a chance to change the situation of Nigeria tonight. We have a chance to engage and reverse the decline that's become part of our life. And nobody can do it better than the guy who's been doing it for 30 years. Done it since 1989. Fighting against military, fighting against annulment of the election, fighting to bring about democracy, setting up a world-class business to fight corruption in this country. And I'm standing in front of you today in 2019 30 years later, ready to help discharge Nigeria of the wicked and incompetent regime that's put us all in an open.
Thank you very much. To the engineer Lebagi Yusuf, please tell us your closing remarks to Nigerians.
Well, I want to appeal to the conscience of Nigerians to, when you hold that ballot paper, please vote wisely, vote ADP. Reasons are that there are too much pains in the land. We are becoming, or already we're a laughing stock. This country will crash if we do not take action. The youth in particular, you have the opportunity now to change narratives about this country, to redirect this country in the right direction, so that we will now begin to live as human beings, not killing each other, not battling with elementary things like hunger in the midst of plenty. I'm appealing to Nigerians to vote for Ejinawawa Isani on the day of the election. Vote ADP. That is the solution to our country.
Thank you very much. To the Alliance for New Nigeria candidate.
Well, let me say to every Nigerian, thank you for holding strong and keeping your faith and your belief. Then Saturday offers us an opportunity in this country to make a choice as to which way our country goes and the future that we will give to our children. We have an option. We can either choose the old or the new. We can choose the old Nigeria led by old politicians, many of whom we will not hire to start our own business or to run our own businesses. If you will not hire a 76-year-old MD for your company or a 72-year-old MD for your company, you should not hire a 72-year-old or 76-year-old president for your country. Most importantly, these people have formed the cabal that have held us bound, and we need to get our freedom. So I declare to APC and PDP, who are both not here because they cannot answer the questions that have been thrown to them, let my people go.
Thank you very much.
And on 14, please vote here, Alliance for New Nigeria.
Yes.
Party with the logo of the
Thank you.
God bless you.
Please,
But first of all, I'd like to claim one laurel that I'm wearing on my sleeve right now. Of everybody here, I think I'm the only one that has been to Boko Haram territory, moving between Maiduguri and Damaturu, and seeing what this country is all about. However, a vote for me is a vote for you. That a vote that an ordinary person, an ordinary Joe in this country can step up without the connection and make the impact that needs to be made. Is a vote for the revolution of ideas. Because we know that this country is due for a revolution now. But we can keep it at the level of ideas because we're not blooded people. A vote for internet. Also, a vote for me is a vote for youth productivity, because the biggest thing that should happen in this country now is that the youth and the young people and the not so young should kick in and take this country to where it needs to be. And lastly, I want you to vote everywhere you see the computer party, whether for governorship, senate, house of reps, house of assembly, term it for that for us. We are that different party that we're talking about. Thank you very much, and thanks for inviting me here.
thank you. The candidate of the SDP.
I like the passion of my colleagues here on the stage. The talk is cheap. I know they mean well. I really know, and I respect that. But it's more than that. It's not how well you mean. And it's not your intentions, it's your ability. I have that ability, it's proven. And I said this is an unfortunate state because I'm the only one here who has governed. Indeed, of all the aspirants or candidates running for president, besides Muhammadu Buhari, I'm the only one who has governed, and I have a track record to prove. You need to create a nation where we're all stakeholders. All our problems, security, insecurity, corruption, they're all symptoms of a deeper problem, as symptoms of a poverty level that makes you feel that you're not a stakeholder in the nation, so they're ready to bring the roof down, right? We need to tackle the indices of poverty head on to ensure that all the symptoms that we see are clear.
Thank you very much. To the candidate of the YPP.
Thank you. It is time. It is time for something new, something different, something bold. It is time to move into the future. It is time for a transformational leader. Nigeria faces three challenges. We're a country, but we're not a nation. Our economy has collapsed, and we have lost our standing in the world. As a former deputy governor of the central bank, I have governed the financial system of Nigeria. As a former United Nations official for 17 years, I have built and fix broken nations in Rwanda, in Croatia, in Cambodia. As a former United Nations official, I have played senior leadership roles in international relations and diplomacy. Therefore, I believe that I am best prepared to lead Nigeria into the future. Like the YPP is the last party on the ballot. You don't have to look for it, and we are going to, for the first time in this country,
Young president. Young president.
President. Hey, congratulations, President. You come. Thank you very much, President. How you doing? Yeah, very good. Very good. Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir.
All this one name and get
it's nice.
Stop it on.
Yes, sir. So, waiting for people so that we yes. This is our president. Yes.
His Excellency.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you. Guys, thank you again. We're back to the streets. We will not give up until the elections are over.
That's right. Door to door.
This is what we said when we were entering, that there's nothing to prove. The debate that needs to happen has already happened everywhere across Nigeria and across the world between our party, the African Action Congress,
and all our people. And you can see here tonight that, you know, when the most important question was asked, you saw where the answer came from. And it was very succinct, direct, and laconic. It's the same way we will govern this country. We don't have 100 days left. We don't have 100 hours left. We don't even have 100 minutes or seconds left. We will hit the ground running. The level of preparedness is obvious from even what you saw inside the room, the kind of electric energy that accompany every word that was uttered, because it's a word of power and a word of conviction. We have a mission to save this country. We are driven by a vision that is not blurry. We are, you know, having a conviction that is not shaky or doubtful. So we want to thank all of you that came from all over Abuja today and beyond. So we've seen so many of our guys from Benue, and we saw a lot of our people from the diaspora as well. We are here from places like the UK, France, we've seen Germany, the United States. People came from all over the world and from all over the country to be here with us. You know what to do. Don't go too far looking for the party at the bottom of the ballot paper. Don't look for number 10.
Number 3.
Just go for number 3.
Don't go to the last page.
It saves you time, it saves you energy, and it doesn't cause you any form of confusion.
Yes.
Because you might be looking for number 10 and you go and vote for PDP. You might be looking for number 20 or the last party, you go and vote for PDP. Yes. Our own is number 3, and that's AAC. The logo is very clear. There are 2 hands, and behind the 2 hands, you will find no brooms and you will not find an umbrella.
Yes.
It's sunshine behind it, and that is what you should vote for come February 16, 2019. Again, I want to thank you guys for the honor done to us in coming together here, coming to support. You found out, you know, and this is the last thing I will say, that as we were exiting the debate room, more people joined us, especially young people who originally did not come here for us. A power of conviction. And we thank them as well. We appreciate that they have come to that curve where they understand where the rescue will come from and who the right leader should be for Nigeria. A 21st century leader that can drive development, that can drive progress, that can drive compassion, that can drive unity and love and justice in the country. One question they didn't ask us that I wish that they had asked us is the issue of security. Because there's something that Nigeria has never addressed when it comes to security. That security of a physical nature is a function of social security and justice. And part of the reason why Nigeria has such a big security problem is that we do not respect the rights of our people. You can imagine what the Buhari regime did to Shiites. You killed 300 of them and buried them overnight. And then you are wondering why there's insecurity in your country. What even started Boko Haram was an issue of human rights abuse. The summary execution of their leader after he was captured by the police was what started Boko Haram. Buhari came, met Boko Haram, he added herdsmen on top of it. Now he's about to add Shiites because he has so much disregard for human rights. Our government will be a government of rights, it will be a government of laws. So guys, thank you so much once again, and I hope to see you guys as you go back. Please don't let the campaign stop. As you go back, convince your family members. Those of you who are abroad, call members of your family. Keep calling them until they are voted and they show you evidence that they are voted for your candidate, which is the right candidate. If you are here and you can't reach home, call people at home. If you are home and you are watching us or you have a chance to listen to us, make sure you vote for the right person. There is no big deal about the major political parties. They are there to scare you, but they have nothing to offer. It is just fear factor. But we have been through fear factor for 58 years. And it has not taken Nigeria anywhere. Time is now. And the urgency is the urgency of now. Thank you guys very much.
Take it back! Take it back! Take it back!
Congratulations. Oh, you will. How are you? Great.
It's mine. Take it back. Show for president. It's all go. Chop and go. Atite. Ashebere. Say Bobo. Now if we want for the show for the man them bringing it. For the banga. It's a man for the people. Sowore for the president. Follow the leader. When they do bang bang. I'm fine, president. Sowore. You see me go bang. Take it back. Say Bobo. Take it back.
Before you said it, I was going to take it back. You killed that one. You killed that one. Everybody killed it. That was the laziness. Yes, that was the most important. 6 months. When the person was doing PGL, I just know that.
Take it back. Action. Take it back. Action.
This way.
Oh, Your Excellency.
Confirm, Presido.